Welcome back to the Intentional Intern Podcast. Is it too late to say Happy New Year? When this comes out, it may be a little bit too late. But I haven't talked to y'all since last year, so I think it's okay. But in all seriousness, I hope you all had a peaceful, restful, and relaxing holiday and New Year season. January is everyone's favorite time to say their favorite motivational phrase, New Year, New Me. And while that's great, I want everyone to honor their journey in 2024 and celebrate their growth as they supported where you are now. So continuously pat yourself on the back, even if it's not 2024 anymore. Keeping that same sentiment, we're starting this year off differently for the podcast. Today, I'll be walking us through an episode in a way that affirms our past journeys, celebrates our present self, and keeps us thinking positively for the future in one of the most powerful ways that I can think of, which are positive affirmations. Beyond helping to shift thinking from negative to positive, they also can help people motivate action, reduce stress, persevere through difficult times, and increase self-confidence and well-being. The concept of self-affirmation is one that we use intentionally and unintentionally every day in both positive and negative ways. And today we'll be focusing a bit more on both, and especially how they come into play, especially in your 20s, because that's something that I'm definitely learning. And I'm sure a lot of you are too. And if there's one thing that 2024 taught me is that my 20s are 20ing. And I needed a new mindset to complement my new era of early adulthood. So fun. This episode will be filled with a lot of different affirmations, plus some affirmations with little slices and sides of advice that you can take. We are gently gliding into this year, just like we'll gently glide into this episode. This year, I have a 2025 affirmation that I try to say every day that's based off of an action word, actually. So I found the concept on TikTok because I wanted to think of a new way that I could really showcase how I wanted to have 2025 go for me and really how I wanted to showcase my goals a little bit differently. And so I decided that, you know what, I'm actually going to hop on this wave of having an action word. And then from that action word, I actually built a 2025 affirmation around that was kind of all encompassing of that action word and what I really wanted 2025 to represent. The more that I thought about how the affirmation was helping me as I've been doing my best to say it every day, I thought that was something that I also wanted to bring onto the podcast as well, because I think one thing, again, that 2024 taught me was 20s are hard. Adulthood is hard. I really tried to think last year that almost everything was not hard. That was almost the challenge of trying to find something that was easy or worth sticking out. It was a really interesting year, I think, for a lot of us and a lot of people. But only speaking from my behalf and my experience of being early career, being early in talent, and also starting off 2025 in a better place than I was in 2024, where I was literally without a job and trying to figure out how I was going to survive. I really learned a lot. And I think for what I was willing to do and for what I was willing to go through in 2024, that really set up how 2025 was going to be for me. And a lot of the affirmations that came out of that year that I used, whether they were negative or positive, were both very impactful and also guided how I chose to go about 2025. So I really wanted to be able to bring that concept here, but also for people who don't use affirmations all the time or people who think they don't use affirmations all the time, I wanted to bring that to their attention. So I have a list of affirmations that I've thought about and also some great ways that you can use affirmations in your day-to-day. And I just want these to really resonate and let this episode be something you can come back to again and again and again when some days are just those days and when your 20s might be 20ing or when you are quite literally in the middle of something that's just like, I don't know what to do, because affirmations can be grounding, at least for me personally. So I wanted to share that experience with everybody else. The first affirmation being, I am capable of achieving my career goals one step at a time. Emphasis on the one step at a time. I think something that is very common within our generation is really the age that we have sped up at, or more so the rate that we've sped up at. So since I was young, I've always been in gifted classes. I've been in, grades that are higher than mine. I've skipped first grade. I went to a magnet school. Like, things were always accelerated. Yes, being on that accelerated track, that was a lot of me, a lot of my time when I was younger. And a lot of things came naturally to me when I was younger. I was always willing to find out what was new, learn whatever, ace whatever. And I remember one really formative step within my education was when I got my first and my only C. I got my first and my only C in trigonometry when I was in high school, and it quite literally broke the very fragile image of myself that I had of, I can go a million miles a minute and I can still succeed without even really having to try, because I'm just so good at everything, and I'm so, I can get things easily, I can learn easily, I can just break down everything easily. Like, I was feeling like I was her or him, whichever case you resonate with in this case. And I think that was the first step in my life where it was not guaranteed. It was not something that was stable. It was the first one that broke, and I had no idea how to fix it. And I thought that was the end of the world. And honestly, now looking back on it, if that was my only problem or my only low point in achieving any type of goal one step at a time, I honestly would have taken that option more so than what I'm dealing with in the current moment, or I would say what I was dealing with in 2024, because that, I think, was the beginning of where my life kind of surrounded, I am on an accelerated path. I'm on an accelerated track. That means I need to do 99 things at one time. I need to do them all perfectly so I can get where I need to go. And so everyone will just be like, you know what? She knows what to do. I did not want to be a person that was looked at as someone who could only do one thing at a time. Not to say that I was frowning upon those who couldn't, but that was my whole life, of being able to do so many things at one time, whether it was school and sports or science fairs or, anything like that. Even in my hobbies, I was doing so many, but I enjoyed my hobbies. But those have slowly, like, once I grew up, they slowly started to die out, where suddenly things were no more really around the enjoyable hobbies of how many things that I could do. I wasn't doing them all at one time, but, it was nice to have variety of what hobbies I could choose to do that day. But when the hobbies got less and then the other responsibilities became more, whether it was school or sports or any of that stuff, and then when I got to college, I paid my way through college. In my sophomore year going on, I paid my way through college. My parents paid my first year. So I guess technically, because I started as a sophomore, they paid the first year of sophomore. Yep. And then junior and senior year, I actually paid my way through. So I was working not one, but two jobs on top of being a full-time student and carrying an internship. So life was always a little bit more hectic, a little bit more stressful. But I also thought, hey, this is what life is supposed to be, like surviving, but I can say I did all these things, and all of these things will help me get me closer to my goals, and people will, look at me and, consider me first for things and blah, blah, blah. And that couldn't have been farther from the truth. I mean, I really worked myself probably to death. I probably worked myself a lot more than I should have, but it really mirrored, or necessarily kind of warped in this case, that mirrored version that I had in high school of when I thought, like, after I got that C, it was time. It was time to just double down on everything and do what I can. And one step at a time became multiple steps at a time, all the time. There was no time, however you wanted to put it. And I just want people now, and looking back, to realize that it is okay to do multiple things at once, but also reviewing that your one step at a time does not have to be that all the time. Like, there are some days where sometimes it's just not going to be like that, but that doesn't mean that you are lesser than, or that you are slower than, or that you are not as capable as other people who may be doing it all. Because some of us, we may be doing it to survive, to survive, or to prove a point, or to continue to upkeep basically what what we represent to some people, or how we are represented to some people as, you know, you're that girl who does blah, blah, blah. You're that guy who does blah, blah, blah. I know you're doing great things and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, sometimes those people don't get to rest. They don't. And it's not their fault, but one step at a time, truly. If I could take things back then, really one step at a time, I honestly think life would be a little bit different. And I think I wouldn't have hit certain modes and methods of burnout that I did. So achieve one step at a time. I bring value to every space I enter. That's our second affirmation. And I completely agree with this. I think when we just reduce ourselves to students or to interns, I think we are limiting ourselves before anybody else does. I think, you know, people are aware, you know, by classification of who you are, but I don't think that many people will value you any less. Much less for me, actually. Most of the time when I am doing work within a company, when I'm interning, when people hear I'm an intern, it's, oh, you're an intern? If that doesn't show you like that you bring value to every space that you enter, regardless of your classification, of your title, of whatever, I don't know what will. I think you have to be very capable in understanding your own value, and that takes time and takes learning, and that's something that I'm learning every single day, of how much value I can bring, or even how much unintentional value that I can bring. And I'm learning to work with that. And I want people to understand that too. If you bring value to every space that you enter, even if it's not a space you're staying in for a long time. So even if it's just with someone for 5 minutes, sometimes you can say something to someone that can change their entire life. And we never know when those moments are unless people tell us, but you do bring value to spaces that you enter every single time, whether it's with a company, whether it's within a relationship, whether that's within a friendship. You do bring value to every space that you enter. Before that, that space didn't have you. They didn't have that unique energy, and nobody can be you. So remember that. I am learning and growing every day, and that is enough. In your 20s, you never stop learning. I think your 20s are when learning can become a little bit tiring sometimes, just because you are also unlearning sometimes of things that you knew and things that you don't know now. So you are learning to grow every single day, whether you like it or not. But it is all valuable. It is all going to be taken with you. Just keep your head up, because, I mean, that's all that you can do. You're doing the best, and that is all that you can do. Every time I've heard that quote, it's from Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. And it's a cricket who says it, of, you know, you do the best you can, and that's the best you can do. It was like a light bulb went off in my head of like, you know what, that's so true. So you are learning and growing every day. And that is enough. I mean, make it enough. In words of TikTok, make it enough. I trust the process and embrace the journey. I think this is one of the most difficult affirmations, especially for early career talent now, because I think everybody knows what the job market looks like. I think everybody knows what social media looks like. Honestly, I think everyone knows what the societal and political state of the world is right now. It's hard to just trust the process. Like it's like an Instagram or a TikTok reel. It's just really difficult to do that. And so trust the process and embrace the journey, I would say, as best as you can. It's not one that's really easy right now, that I think a lot of people who aren't in early career are also tackling. So trust the process and embrace the journey the best that you can. I am worthy of success and opportunities coming my way. Period. Self-explanatory. I am resilient even when faced with challenges. Self-explanatory, but you definitely have to figure out how you are evolving as you are continuing to be resilient and feedback what you're doing in different situations as you progress. So you are resilient even when faced with challenges. I'm going to say that again. You are resilient even when faced with challenges. I celebrate my progress no matter how small it may seem. Y'all, this is so important, because if you don't celebrate it, no one will. Or if you forget about what you've done, then you will feel like you are in a negative space of, what did I do? And then you're kind of reaffirming to yourself like, oh, what I did was like, and then you can easily compare what you did to someone else. And it just becomes this whole big cloud of things that it shouldn't when you have your wins documented. Even if it's one win, okay, that's better than zero. And that's something important to remember. So if you're not doing it now, I would say get a win journal, get a win jar, get a win something. I used to do a win jar and a win journal whenever I could, because I felt myself getting into that pattern of like, am I doing anything that's impactful? What is a win? Like, and I had to sit down with myself actually after a conference where we talked about the fundamental unit of a win. So what does a fundamental win look like for a team? What does a fundamental win look like for an organization? So for me, I was like, okay, well, I need to figure out what a fundamental win looks like for me, because, from a career standpoint, what do I think is the bar for what I do within my internships or what I do within my role as a president on campus? Like, I know what my wins are for those. But from a personal standpoint, yeah, girl, we need to have like a fundamental unit of a win. Like, if there's a to-do list, if I get 2 things out of 10 done, hey, that's a win. And so even small things like that are really important in how you categorize what's a win to you, because it does not have to be this big dramatic thing that's announced on LinkedIn or Instagram or anything all the time. I know a lot of people in their 20s that are, making money out there and doing everything, and we see all that, and it's like flashy cars, flashy lights, and blah, blah, blah. And then there can be sometimes an internal thought of, why is that not me? Why can't I win like that? Well, maybe, one, your time is coming, and that's something to remember. But also, your wins may not be what they want. Sometimes we look at what other people have and we're just like, dang, that must be nice. But it's really not what we want at all. So just keeping that in mind, I think documenting your wins and also understanding what's a win to you are very important in celebrating your progress, no matter how small it may seem to you. It does not matter what others think at all. It is how you celebrate your progress to you. I am confident in my ability to make a positive impact. I know this one kind of goes hand in hand with the second affirmation that we had, which is I bring value to every space that I enter. I would even pair both of those together of I bring value to every space that I enter, and I am confident in my ability to make a positive impact. Because again, for you, some of the positive impacts that you make, you will never see, especially if people don't tell you. There may be some things that you've done that people still think about to this day. So just be confident in yourself to just make the world a better place wherever you go, even if it is in just a small good morning to someone passing by, holding the door for someone, saying thank you about something, saying please, saying I love you, saying I'm proud of you. All of those things make a huge difference for people, and make sure you're saying those things to yourself. I release the fear of failure and embrace the lessons it brings. Ooh, that one's kind of heavy. That one's kind of deep. Yeah, this one, this is something that I think everybody is consistently practicing, but that fear of failure will keep you from starting anything. That fear of failure and that fear of rejection creates a space where regret can live comfortably until it doesn't. That is something that a lot of people are dealing with, me included. There's so many things, there's so many topics, so many situations where everyone is afraid of failing. And that's valid. I get it, whether it's from an embarrassment perspective, whether it's something I just haven't done before, whether it's just something that's genuinely scary. Looking at all the people who are super adventurous, it's tough and it can be difficult to deal with. So I really resonate with this one in an affirmation that's just needed all the time, especially as your early career and you're trying to grow and go up the corporate ladder. Release that fear of failure, embrace the lessons that it brings. I realized for me last year that I did fear to fail because I didn't want to figure out what was on the other side of failure. And the other side of failure was success. So once I figured that out, it was just like, okay, so we're being a little bit hypocritical. Let's reel it in. And that seemed to help things move a bit easier for me. So hopefully it can move a bit easier for you. I attract meaningful connections that support my growth. I think this one is also self-explanatory in terms of you get what you put out. And so with that same affirmation that we talked about earlier of being confident in your ability to make a positive impact, I would say that I think of this one the same way. You think of what you can attract based on your energy, but also being hopeful and remaining hopeful that, you don't have to do all the work sometimes of that energy coming in clutch for you. So I attract meaningful connections that support my growth. You attract meaningful connections that support your growth. I deserve to be seen, heard, and valued in my workplace. Period. I think Gen Z gets that well enough. But if you don't, you deserve to be seen, heard, and valued in your workplace. I am open to new opportunities and experiences. I'm just going to say that one again. I am open to new opportunities and experiences. I have the courage to step out of my comfort zone. Yeah, girl, we're going to have to step out of that. Yeah, everyone, actually. Again, what we talked about earlier of just that fear, honestly, fear in general. I actually was speaking to one of my mentors the other day, and she talked about that she lives in between two emotions, or believes really in those two emotions, and one is fear and the other is love. And we're viewing, anger, sadness, all of these things sometimes out of fear. And then you have that opposing, which is love, and you can still also have some of those same emotions, but they may be out of love, and those things look completely different based on the situation. So having that courage to step out of your comfort zone, I think, is also a method of you releasing that fear and then walking into love. So it's almost like those quotes where you see, like, it's the same quote every time of, my life is full of unexpected possibilities, and it has like a period, and it has like a sad background. But then the next slide is, my life is full of unexpected opportunities or unknown opportunities. It's the same sentence basically, but then it has an exclamation point, and has a lighter background, and it's just a lighter feeling. It's the same thing, but it's all down to the mentality and the tone of how we're saying it and how we're doing it. So those are the super important things that I think we always have to remember, again, all the time. It can be hard to remember in the moment, but having that courage to step out leads to the things that you want to do in life. So even if you take that first step, even if it requires, I know a lot of us, like when we're still building things, we don't want people that we know to see it. Sometimes that's inevitable depending on what we're wanting to do, but have that courage built around yourself to know, like, this is something that you're proud of regardless. And it doesn't matter what other people think. It is your life. It's what you want to do. This is how you're stepping out of your comfort zone. Period. I am creating a life that I am both proud of personally and professionally. We're going to read that one again. I am creating a life I am proud of both personally and professionally. I know I read it a little bit different that time, but yeah. It's so easy to get caught up in just caring about one part of your life more than the other parts, especially when it comes to career and corporate, or just career, not corporate, career actually. Let's just leave it there, because it may fund everything else. It may feel like it gives you the freedom to do everything else. And I quickly realized last year that it still does not. It does not really enable that. You have to do the work personally. You have to do the work in every other aspect of your life for you to be happy. And then you have to think about, if that's taken away from you, that professional part, that you are really acting or having to act as the enabler for everything else, what will you have left? That was the turning point for me. So when you are no longer, if every label is stripped away from you, if you are not the intern, if you are not the student, if you are not any of these things, which I think, especially for that the student one after you graduate and then you're in like this post-grad crisis a little bit, not just because you graduated, but because you're like, oh, new era, what now? It really makes you think of, did I take advantage of everything in college? Not even in just like a student way, but just in just living life and having that experience of, I've been a college student. I had more freedom in some places. I had more self-liberation in some places, all of that. So am I creating a life that I am proud of, both personally and professionally? For me, also, and overall, holistically. Can I go back and look back on 2025 this year and be like, you know what? This was just a great year all around. Things will always happen, but this was still a great year for me in my own terms of growth or things like that. So that is one of my big goals this year, especially in being rooted with connections, creating a life that I am both proud of, both personally and professionally. I trust my instincts and the decisions that I make. That one is a little bit, it's so interesting because you're basically doing that your entire life, but in your early 20s, it becomes so evident of every single thing that you do. It's like those games, like if anyone has seen or played Until Dawn, where it's like you make a decision and it's like this action has consequences, or this action will be remembered, or she will remember that. It's even more like that in your 20s because I think everybody is kind of opening up to this new consciousness of like how much they're in charge of themselves. And that includes not even just from bills and all that stuff, but thinking about just being in charge of your own life and your own destiny and your own work and everything that you're going to do. And it's just like, ooh, there's a lot on the plate. That was one thing that I learned from hearing an executive talk of the one thing that holds people back is not being okay with the decisions that they made, actually. So if you're going to make that decision, learn to be okay with it and the outcome that comes with that. I am equipped to handle anything that comes my way. We may not believe it all the time, maybe not even half the time, but we are. Things are not thrown at us if we were not able to handle them. And for a lot of us, just the hurdles and the dreams that we want to go through in order to get to where we want to go in that success, we will have to handle anything that comes our way. So remember, you are equipped to handle anything that comes your way. I am not defined by my mistakes. They are opportunities to grow. Whew, that was kind of it. Yeah, we're not. I know a lot of this we're talking about, again, things that are just going on in our 20s are going on, and being early career going on, and being young adults. And I know we literally just talked about like 2 affirmations ago of trusting the decisions that we make and being okay with them. Some of those decisions may be mistakes, and there really is no choice to be. You can't just not be okay with it. You're just going to have to be okay with that because it's a mistake. We all make mistakes. And what's important is that we do not settle in those mistakes. So we are equipped to handle anything that comes our way, like the affirmation before. Again, that includes mistakes. So you are not defined by your mistakes. They are opportunities to grow. Honestly, they are how we grow. They are how we experience. They are how we learn. We have to fall and get back up. Literally, we've been doing this since we were babies, unintentionally. From crawling to walking, but we had to stumble in between and all of those things. Think about like your entire life, like literally in high school and middle school and all those things where we were just naturally like sponges kind of walking around, squeezing out what really didn't fit, or like just, whatever water was a mistake, whatever anything was a mistake, just those being opportunities to grow. And then we graduated and now we're where we are in life. There are opportunities to grow in everything. We make mistakes every day. Some things that we view as mistakes, others may not. That's another thing. A lot of things can be subjective too. But one thing that's not is that you are not defined by your mistakes that you are just making right now and thinking that they are not opportunities to grow. Let me be clear about that part. They are opportunities to grow. I let go of self-doubt and embrace confidence in my abilities. I let go of self-doubt and embrace confidence in my abilities. Because I am exactly where I need to be and my potential is limitless. I am exactly where I need to be and my potential is limitless. So you are exactly where you need to be and your potential is limitless. Where you are now is not going to be where you are forever. Trust and believe that. You are exactly where you need to be and your potential is limitless. Here are a couple of other affirmations that I'm just going to read out because I feel like I have yapped a lot today and just shared a lot with those 20 affirmations that we've gone through, just hopefully helping with really anything that can be going on right now, whether it's tied to career or tied to connections or tied to just who we are as people. I want to go into 2025 with us really utilizing the way that we speak to ourselves. It is so important in the power of what we say, not even just to ourselves, but to other people. Just the power of what we say, period, is really something that I noticed in 2024 really affected myself and others. And that's something that I have been actively working on in 2025 and has been one of my main goals. So I have a couple of other affirmations that I'll just read out if you have a hard time saying them to yourselves, because that can happen sometimes. But sometimes, we all don't have to talk. You guys can just listen. So here are some additional affirmations that you can just listen to. I am building a strong foundation for my future success. Every experience, even the challenging ones, is shaping me into a better version of myself. I am deserving of opportunities that align with my skills and my passions. I am open to feedback and use it as a tool for growth. My unique perspective is a strength, and I bring value to every discussion. I am patient with myself as I learn and grow. I am proud of the progress I have made so far. I deserve to take up space and share my ideas confidently. I am creating a life and a career that reflects my values and aspirations. I have the skills and mindset to overcome any obstacles in my path. I am allowed to set boundaries to protect my energy and focus. I am committed to continuous learning and self-improvement. I am worthy of recognition for my hard work and contributions. I believe in my ability to succeed even when the path is unclear. I am attracting opportunities that align with my goals and passions. I am confident in my ability to lead. I let go of comparison and focus on my own unique journey. I am brave enough to take risks and pursue my dreams. I have the power to create positive change. I honor myself and my achievements and give myself credit for my efforts. I am resilient, resourceful, and ready to tackle challenges head on. I trust my intuition to guide me towards the right opportunities. I am not afraid to ask for help or seek guidance when needed in life. I am a lifelong learner, and every day offers a new opportunity to grow. I release the need for perfection and embrace progress instead. I celebrate the small wins just as much as the big achievements. Because we needed to double back around that one. We needed to spin the block on that one again and add a little bit of a twist to it. I hope that this episode really inspires anybody to, one, just look into affirmations and how you're speaking to yourself and not reaffirming any negative self-talk and self-behavior or any negative perceptions of yourself that have been placed by others, or negative representations of how you should feel or how you should move or how you should do or any of that stuff. You know what? Leave it. You know, we can't leave it in 2024 no more, but, you know, leave it here. Whenever you listen to this episode, honestly, just leave that. Leave that within this space of listening, whatever day or time that is. And really, you are going to do so many great things in 2025. So don't give up. Keep persevering. Apply to anything that your heart desires. Even if it says it has over 100 applications on LinkedIn, girl, just click. There have been multiple times, even for me, where I thought that it wasn't possible for me to get into the areas and the spaces that I was in. But there's still always that little shred of, I think I can do this. I think I can make that. And even that little bit helped me get to where I am today. I know that's probably helped a lot of us get to where we are today. So stay grounded, stay grateful, stay dreaming, stay living, stay experiencing, stay loving, stay crying, stay everything that just allows you to grow and really dive into who you are and who you want to be in 2025. You are going to be this phenomenal person in 2025 with anything you end up doing, how you end up growing and learning, and just reminding yourself of that. Like, you are him, you are her, you are anything that you desire to be. You are that person. You are the one. Like, speak it to yourself. So whether that is really just even keeping these affirmations on a loop from this episode or other practices like in meditation or in journaling, repeating them daily like in the mirror, or if you're journaling, putting them on sticky notes, setting reminders or things on your phone. I have an I Am Affirmations app on my phone. Or even pairing your affirmations with actions, like how people do when they're about to get ready to go on stage and they're hyping themselves up and doing their ritual of what gets them going. Personalize those affirmations to work for you. You got this. I don't have an outro for today because honestly, I want you to remember these last few things. And yeah, we'll get to the next episode. And of course, I'll want you to like and comment and subscribe and probably all of those things that I usually say in my outro. But just remember, you got this. You always did. You always do. So with that, have a great day. Continue to be you.